just didn't really help him out a lot. And I'm going to get to a lot of different plays, and I just think he played pretty well for the time being. And when you do that, and when you have certain things that you need to get to play well, it just just sometimes doesn't look too good. Here's what I love, though. A little misdirection here. You have this reverse. Shedeur is handing it off, and I just want you to watch Shedeur on the block. Thought it was awesome. Right?
So you want every fucking rookie on the field except for Shedeur.
That's right.
Then you got a backup tackle running the over route. That's what we came up with for the game? Are you saving? That's your best 2-point play. You can't be saving your best 2-point play because you ain't going to the playoffs.
After that, that's a fireable offense.
It's pitiful.
Just didn't really help him out a lot, and I'm going to get to a lot of different plays. Give him break. He's a 5th-round pick rookie, and let's let this thing develop. So, don't skip a single second of this video. And if this story touches your heart, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments. Where are you watching from? Let's begin. Let me be real with you right now. What's happening in Cleveland? This isn't football. This isn't bad blocking. This isn't a rookie quarterback struggling to find his footing in the NFL. No. What we're watching unfold with Shedeur Sanders and the Cleveland Browns offensive line is something far darker. Something that's making analysts, former players, and film experts all arrive at the exact same terrifying conclusion. This looks like sabotage. Intentional, calculated, coordinated sabotage of a rookie quarterback by his own teammates. And I'm not the only one saying it. When Chase Daniel, a former NFL quarterback who's broken down thousands of plays in his career, looks at the tape and says the Browns just didn't really help him out a lot. That's not casual criticism, that's code. That's the most diplomatic way a professional analyst can say something, is deeply, fundamentally wrong without catching a lawsuit. Because what's on that tape? It goes beyond incompetence. It goes beyond missed assignments or communication breakdowns. We're talking about offensive linemen standing still while their quarterback gets destroyed. We're talking about Pro Bowl caliber players falling to the ground on 4th and 1 without making contact with anyone. We're talking about patterns so blatant, so consistent, so inexplicable that people are now calling for the NFL itself to step in and investigate. Think about that for a second. We're not debating whether Shedeur has what it takes. We're not arguing about his arm strength or his decision-making under pressure. We've moved past that. The conversation has shifted to whether his own offensive line is trying to get him killed. And when multiple analysts start using words like criminal and investigation and legal action, this isn't just drama. This is unprecedented. This might be the biggest scandal of the entire NFL season. Not a quarterback controversy, not a coaching debate, but the possibility that a franchise is allowing, or worse, enabling its players to deliberately sabotage a rookie who's just trying to prove he belongs. And here's the thing. Once you see what I'm about to show you, you're not going to be able to unsee it. The plays, the film breakdowns, the inexplicable failures that only make sense when you consider intent. It's all there. It's all on tape. And it paints a picture that should make every NFL fan uncomfortable. So I'm going to take you through this whole situation, piece by piece, play by play. I'm going to show you exactly what analysts are seeing when they break down this offensive line. I'm going to show you what former players are calling out. And then you can decide for yourself, is this the worst blocking in NFL history, or is something else going on in Cleveland? Because from where I'm sitting, this doesn't look like football anymore. This looks like a hit job. And it's time we talk about it. Now let me show you exactly what I'm talking about, because I'm not asking you to take my word for it. I'm asking you to watch the tape. And when you see what analysts are finding on this film, you're going to understand why this situation has gone from concerning to borderline criminal. Let's start with the play that's making everyone lose their minds. It's a crucial down. Shedeur drops back to pass, and number 72 on the offensive line, he's just standing there, not engaged with a defender, not picking up a rusher, not helping on a stunt. He's literally staring at Shedeur, looking at his own quarterback like he's waiting for him to get hit. The analyst breaking this down said it perfectly. Who the hell is 72 blocking? He's looking at Shedeur like he's about to come hit him himself. That's not a missed assignment. That's not miscommunication. That's a man choosing not to do his job while his quarterback gets destroyed. But it gets worse. 4th and 1 against the 49ers. Game on the line. Red zone. This is where you need your offensive line to win. This is where veterans step up. And what happens? Jack Conklin, the right tackle, does what one analyst called the Superman. He just dives at the ground, launches himself forward like he's trying to tackle the grass instead of blocking a defender. No contact, no effort. Just a man falling down for no reason. And Joel Bitonio, the left guard who coaches have been praising all season, he does the exact same thing, just falls to the ground. No engagement, no resistance. 2 defenders come through completely untouched. Untouched. On 4th and 1 with the game hanging in the balance. Here's what makes it even more insane. There was a false start on that play that didn't get called. The refs gave them a break, and they still managed to blow it by not blocking a single person. How does that happen? How does an entire offensive line just collectively decide not to do their jobs on the most important play of the game? And this isn't an isolated incident. When analysts break down the Browns against defensive stunts and twists, basic stuff that every NFL offensive line should handle, they're finding the same patterns over and over. Linemen staying locked on one guy while letting others run free. Linemen falling down without contact. Linemen watching instead of blocking. One analyst said it 3 separate times while reviewing this tape. This should be criminal. Not, this is bad football. Not, they need to improve. Criminal. That's the word being used to describe what's on film. So I need you to answer this question honestly. How does any of this happen? How do multiple veteran offensive linemen all make the same inexplicable mistakes on the same crucial plays unless there's something else going on? Because the tape doesn't lie. And what it's showing us right now is deeply disturbing. Now, here's where this whole situation goes from suspicious to straight up unbelievable, because what I'm about to tell you makes no sense unless you understand that something is deeply broken inside that Cleveland Browns facility. After all those plays I just showed you, the whiffed blocks, the Superman dives, the linemen staring at their quarterback, instead of protecting him, you would expect the coaching staff to be furious. You would expect accountability. You would expect someone to call it out. Right? Wrong. Instead, the Cleveland Browns offensive line coach goes on record praising Joel Bitonio, the same Joel Bitonio who fell to the ground on 4th and 1 without blocking anyone. The coach says his play has been awesome, says he's blown away by him every week, even suggests Bitonio deserves Pro Bowl consideration. Pro Bowl. For a man who literally laid down on the most important play of the game while defenders ran through untouched. I need you to sit with that for a second. Watch the tape, then listen to the praise, and tell me those 2 things make sense together. Because from where I'm sitting, either the offensive line coach is completely blind to what's happening on the field, or he's part of whatever is going on in that position room. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Reports have surfaced that Bitonio has spoken negatively about Shedeur Sanders on multiple occasions. Multiple occasions. So you've got an offensive lineman who's been publicly critical of his quarterback, who's whiffing blocks on crucial plays, and who's getting showered with praise by coaches despite the terrible performance. Connect those dots for me, because that pattern doesn't look like coincidence. That looks like a culture. And it goes higher than just the offensive line room. Remember, Kevin Stefanski reportedly didn't want Shedeur Sanders in the first place. There are people who believe he's done everything in his power to prevent this rookie from succeeding. The play calling, the personnel decisions, the way Shedeur gets pulled at crucial moments. It all points in the same direction. This isn't just 1 or 2 players making mistakes. This is a systemic failure. This is a head coach who may not want his quarterback to succeed. This is an offensive line coach rewarding players who aren't protecting that quarterback. This is veteran linemen who've been vocal about not wanting Shedeur and who suddenly can't seem to block anyone when he's under center. When you reward failure with praise, when you celebrate players who aren't doing their jobs, when there's no accountability for the most basic responsibilities that tells you everything about the culture in that building. And if that culture has decided it doesn't want Shedeur Sanders to make it, then what chance does he really have? But here's the thing about Shedeur. Even with all of this working against him, he's still fighting. And this is where I need you to really hear me. Because through all of this chaos, through all the apparent sabotage, through the coaching failures, through linemen who seem more interested in watching him get hit than protecting him, Shedeur Sanders is still out there fighting. Every single snap, every single play, he's competing like his life depends on it. You want to know what tells me everything I need to know about this kid's character? Chase Daniel broke down a misdirection play where Shedeur, the quarterback, threw a block for his teammates. The quarterback, out there doing the dirty work, leading by example, sacrificing his body for a running back while his own offensive line can't be bothered to keep defenders off him. That's not just effort, that's heart, that's leadership. That's the mentality of someone who refuses to be broken no matter what's thrown at him. And let's be real about what he's dealing with. Pockets are collapsing in 2 seconds. Linemen are falling down for no reason. Veterans are staring at him instead of blocking. The coaching staff seems designed to set him up for failure. And through all of that, Shedeur is still making plays. He's extending with his legs. He's taking hits and popping back up. He's trying to find receivers downfield while the entire pocket caves in around him. Now look, I'm not going to sit here and tell you he's been perfect. He's a rookie. He's made rookie mistakes. There have been interceptions. There have been times where defenders baited him into bad throws. But I need you to understand the context. Show me any quarterback in NFL history, any of them who could succeed behind this offensive line with this coaching and this supporting cast. You can't, because that quarterback doesn't exist. What Shedeur is doing right now isn't about stats. It's about survival. It's about proving that no matter how hard they try to break him, he won't quit. And the flashes, they're there. The arm talent is there. The poise under pressure when he actually has time is there. The leadership is there. You can see the franchise quarterback inside this kid fighting to get out. He just needs someone to give him a chance. A real chance. That's what makes this whole situation so heartbreaking. We're watching a young man with all the tools, all the intangibles, all the fight in the world, and he's being sabotaged by the people who are supposed to protect him. He deserves better than this. He deserves an offensive line that wants him to succeed. He deserves coaches who believe in him. He deserves a fair shot. Because if Shedeur Sanders can show this much heart, this much resilience, this much fight when everything is stacked against him, imagine what he could do if someone actually had his back. And that's exactly why the NFL needs to step in. So here's where we are right now. We're at a crossroads. And what happens next will determine not just Shedeur Sanders' future, but potentially the integrity of the entire league. Because there are only 2 ways this can go. Option 1. The Cleveland Browns clean house. They fire the offensive line coach immediately. They cut or trade every single lineman who's been part of this apparent sabotage. They bring in new players who actually want to protect their quarterback. They rebuild the entire culture from the ground up. And they give Shedeur Sanders the protection and support he deserves. That's the best case scenario. That's accountability. That's making it right. Option 2, they do nothing. They pretend this is just bad football. They keep the same coaches, the same players, the same toxic culture, and when that happens, it's going to get ugly. Because analysts are already predicting legal action. We're talking depositions, we're talking subpoenas, we're talking text messages, and locker room conversations all coming to light. Every single play where a lineman didn't block. Every comment about not wanting Shedeur. Every coach praising failure. It's all going to come out in discovery. And if there's evidence, real evidence, that players were deliberately putting their quarterback in harm's way, that's not just a football problem. That's a legal problem. That's potential criminal negligence. That's lawsuits that could reshape how the NFL operates. Think about the precedent this sets. If offensive linemen can just decide they don't like their quarterback and stop blocking, what happens to player safety? What happens to the competitive integrity of the game? What happens when rookies come into hostile locker rooms knowing their own teammates might try to end their careers? This goes way beyond Cleveland. This threatens everything the NFL is supposed to stand for. That's why the league needs to step in right now. Not next week, not after the season. Right now. Launch an internal investigation. Interview every player. Review every play. Check every communication. Because if what we're seeing on tape is what it looks like intentional sabotage of a player by his own teammates, then the NFL has no choice but to act. We're talking massive fines, loss of draft picks, suspensions, maybe even lifetime bans for anyone involved. So I'm asking you, the people who love this game as much as I do, what do you think? Is this the worst offensive line play in NFL history, or is this something darker? If the investigation proves intentional sabotage, what should the punishment be? Should coaches be banned? Should players face criminal charges? Drop your thoughts in the comments because your voice matters in this conversation. Look, what's happening to Shedeur Sanders in Cleveland isn't just wrong. It's dangerous. It's unprecedented. And it cannot be allowed to continue. This young man deserves protection. He deserves a fair chance. He deserves teammates who have his back. The NFL needs to investigate. The truth needs to come out. And Shedeur Sanders needs to be protected. This story is far from over. And when the truth finally comes to light, everything is going to change.